Welcome to BMC Software's guide to installing the BMC AMI Storage for ZOS product families using the BMC Common Installation System for ZOS. This instructional video is intended for users who are newly installing the FDR, FATS copy, or IAM product families, or users upgrading from older versions such as FDR 5490, IAM 1002, or FATS copy 4933 and releases prior. This is part 5 of a 5-part instructional video series. Part 1 offers a brief overview of what's new for the FDR, FATS copy, and IAM product families, along with a summary of changes to the installation process for those products. Parts 2, 3, 4, and 5 each offer step-by-step walkthroughs for each stage of using the BMC Common Installation System for ZOS. In Part 5, we'll walk through how to set up JCL for configuration jobs and generate the necessary configuration jobs for an AMI Storage for ZOS installation. To proceed, you'll need to have already obtained and decompressed the installation system, started, configured, and used the installation system to create an installation project, and selected products, set up JCL for installation jobs, and generated your installation jobs. Picking up where we left off in Part 4, after generating our installation jobs, we should find ourselves back at the Execute Project panel. Here, we're going to enter the number 1 under Configuration Actions and hit Enter. The first panel we see is Runtime and Other Datasets, which you'll see has another Quick Fill line. As before, you can specify a value in the Quick Fill line and hit Enter to fill in the fields. As before, the values you see here are just an example. Additionally, you'll need to specify a low-level qualifier option. We recommend using number 1. Once you've entered that option, hit Enter. This brings us to the Runtime Dataset Allocation Values panel, where you'll need to enter the allocation values for your runtime datasets. You can use Quick Fill to complete the relevant column fields or manually enter it yourself. Once you're done, hit Enter. This brings us to the Configure Products or Components submenu. Here we'll want to enter the number 4 on the line command and hit Enter. The installation system may prompt you to confirm whether you are upgrading from a prior version of the product. If this is a new installation, simply select 1 for None. If you are upgrading from versions at or below FDR 5490, FATS copy 4933, or IAM 1002, you will also select 1 for None because the installation system is unable to detect those versions. Hit Enter. We'll find ourselves back at the Execute Project panel, where we'll enter the number 3 to set selected product or component values, and hit Enter. This brings us to a familiar-looking submenu, Configure Products or Components. This time we're going to enter the number 7 on the line command and hit Enter to apply the product passwords. First, we'll need to specify which products we want to apply permanent passwords to. Find your licensed products on this list and place a 3 next to each of them. You'll need to hit PF8 to see the next page. Once you've finished specifying your products, hit Enter. On the Permanent Password Authorization panel, you'll need to specify the CPU ID for each product by using one of the following methods. To use the same CPU ID for all the listed products, type Y in the Select a Single CPU ID Type for All Products Selected field. Then, specify the CPU ID in the CPU ID Type field below the Select a Single CPU ID Type for All Products Selected field, and press Enter. Or, to use different CPU IDs for each listed product, specify the CPU ID in the CPU ID type field to the right of each listed product. Next, enter a password 3 digits at a time for each listed product. Each row represents one product on one processor. You can change the CPU ID by typing over the displayed information or deselect the product by blanking out the cell column. Lastly, press Enter to validate and accept your changes. This returns us to the Configure Products or Components submenu, where we're going to enter the number 8 to proceed to JCL generation. The Generated Job Values panel should already be filled out from when you created the installation jobs. However, this is the time to make changes if necessary. Once done, hit Enter. The installation system will prompt us with a few familiar-looking messages and take us to the Configuration JCL Generation option screen, where we'll place an S next to Generate JCL into our libraries, and hit Enter. We'll see a similar process here as when we generated our installation jobs, with each member's status changing to generated and the percentage complete of generation going up over time. Once the configuration jobs have been generated, you can begin running the installation jobs created in Part 4 of this video series if you have not done so already. Before running each installation job, please consult the documentation for that job, which can be found in the $100 doc member in your installation JCL library. Once all the installation jobs have been submitted and successfully completed, you can begin running the configuration jobs created during this video. Before running each configuration job, please consult the documentation for that job, which can be found in the $CJCKLST member in your configuration JCL library. If you have any questions about running installation or configuration jobs, please consult the Frequently Asked Questions document published with this video series, or check docs.bmc.com. If you run into errors or other problems that require advanced troubleshooting, please open a case with BMC support. This concludes Part 5 of BMC Software's Guide to installing the BMC AMI Storage for ZOS product families using the BMC Common Installation System for ZOS. Thank you for watching.